What's up, book nerds? Erik Werlin here, and I am here with Tree Adams. How you doing today?
Excellent. Good to be here with you.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I heard you're the composer for the TV show The 100. Is this true?
This is true. We've been enjoying it for a while now.
I love that show.
Excellent. It's been quite a task. You know, we have a lot of themes, a lot of different characters, a lot of different worlds meshing and characters blending, and all the different themes have to be kept straight, and we do a lot of exploring new territory every week. So
What was the creation like for coming up with the score and the sound for that world? Because, I mean, when it debuted, personally, I'd never seen a sci-fi show like it before. So what was it like coming up with that and trying to make a unique world sound-wise and making it work?
Well, here's the thing. So I began on the third season. So I did seasons 3, 4, and 5. So I wasn't there in the very beginning.
Okay.
And Jason Rothenberg, the creator of the show, he had always wanted things to be kind of dark, powerful, epic, emotional. And I think that the sound of the show in the first couple seasons is that.
Oh, for sure.
And when I came in, it was basically to come up with more of like a melodic, thematic approach to try and, you know, create another layer of storytelling to accompany what was going on. And so that's what I've been doing. And then here and there, you know, we have new characters that come in, new bad guys, new worlds that they go to. And when I say worlds, I mean like environments or, you know, things happen in space. And with each new element, it's an opportunity to kind of come up with something unique. And Jason's always encouraging me to sort of come up with like new sounds, find different instruments that haven't been used as much. And we do a lot of kind of melding of things that wouldn't necessarily fit together. Spices that you don't normally, you know, find, you know what I mean? Like a Chinese burrito.
All right. That's one way to put it. What's the process like for scoring something like the 100? Like, do they just send you the episode and say, have at it? Or do they, like, say, we need something that sounds like this and to be this length, and then they put that in and say, we want, you know, this bit changed. This, like, how do you work with them? Like, what's that process like?
Well, initially, before the season starts, usually Jason and I will get together, have a conversation. He'll kind of break out the major sort of story points as it goes. We'll identify certain characters or themes that we might want to build, certain dynamics perhaps that we might want to, like, you know, come up with something for. And then I'll go and write some thematic material that just basically is, you know, in the wide open, and then we'll sort of get his vibe on it. Then if he's liking things, or as we fine tune it, we'll give it to the editors, and then they'll have it and they'll use some of it, and they kind of know what we're thinking. And then they'll maybe find things in other references that are similar and plug that in as temporary stuff to try and communicate to me in a cut where the turns ought to be or what kind of flavor we're looking for.
Okay.
Then they send me a rough cut, or actually a lock cut with rough music, temp music. And then I kind of try and ascertain their intentions. We have a spotting session where we sit down with the brain trust, which would be like, you know, Tim Scanlon, one of the other big producers, Carly Barber, the music editor, the sound guys, Charlie Crutcher. We'll all sit there and go through it together and identify all the spots where things should turn, and Jason will give me specific direction. Then I go on my own. I have all the information. I knock it out. And it's wall-to-wall music, so it's really, you know, an intense run. And I don't have a lot of time to do it. I hand it in, they give me a round of notes, we're done.
Nice. So it sounds like a lot of collaboration and quick turnarounds, pretty much.
A lot of collaboration, quick turnaround, and I do a lot of live recording on it. You know, it's like usually a mixture of some live orchestra, certainly like live ensemble drumming, a lot of exotic instruments, you know, like Middle Eastern instruments, wind and drums, and, you know, all of that melded with some MIDI elements and some, you know, synth and just kind of, how should I call it, like, you know, sound, like sonic alchemy
Yeah.
just knob turning and just experimenting, and
Coming up with something awesome that you end up seeing in the show, and it just sounds incredible.
that's that's the hope.
Well, I'd say so far you've been succeeding because I watched the show and I love it. So, let's move on to talk about your other project we have for all of you at home. It's called DUSKRIDERS. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, a while back I was doing a show called Californication for Showtime, and that was basically like a rock score. And I began as kind of like a guitar playing, composer, and I was getting hired sort of again and again to do the same score. So my thinking was, in order to try and get to some new sonic material, like to expand the palette a little bit, it might make sense to try and come up with the idea of something that I'd love to score. Also at the time, I was working on a show called Middleman, which was based on a graphic novel called The Middleman, written by Javi Grillo-Marxuach. And that was sort of gave me a taste of what it would be like to do like a much wider palette. And that inspired me, and I thought, well, I should come up with a graphic novel idea because I was always a fan of the genre and read all these, these graphic novels, and I thought, well, this would be cool. So about 10 years ago, I started to come up with this story, and then I wrote the music to accompany that story, and then eventually I got an artist. And so we've got, this first one, there's 6 issues in the first arc, and it's, basically an imagined future where there's sort of a post-apocalyptic world, and, a corporate warlord has basically taken Earth and turned it into a service planet and colonized the distant planet, moving all the rich people over to there. Okay. And then there's these 3 freedom fighters who remain behind.
Let's see him right there. Nice. Get a good close-up on that. There we go.
And these are the DUSKRIDERS, and the DUSKRIDERS are here trying to kind of restore Earth's autonomy.
Nice.
And taking on this corporate warlord.
Well, having a soundtrack to a graphic novel is a fairly new concept to me, but that sounds awesome.
It's fun. It's fun. There's no restrictions in terms of the timing of anything because you're not working to picture. It's all in the kind of idea phase.
Yeah.
And it just is another way to kind of pepper and flavor the creative work there.
Yeah.
And then for each additional comic that we release, we're releasing another soundtrack. So this DUSKRIDERS, if you look it up on iTunes, it's out there. The second issue, we're going to have another release that we put out, and we've got other artists who are contributing, work inspired by us. So on the website, which is duskriderscomic.com, we've got all this music, all this artwork, and the story continues to be released. And it's just kind of a fun, collaborative world that we're just fleshing out over the years.
Sometimes those end up being the most fun projects when you're working with so many other people and just artists and music, and it all comes together just to create something new and amazing.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. So it's been good.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate it. Good luck with everything, and keep up the amazing work.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, I'm Tree Adams, composer. That's Turning the Page with JeanBookNerd.